Have you ever wondered why some people seem to attract money effortlessly while you're working twice as hard and barely making ends meet? What if I told you that right now, sitting in your kitchen cabinet, there's a simple ingredient that ancient civilizations used to cleanse their energy fields and open the floodgates to prosperity, and you've been walking past it every single day without knowing its true power? And what if the only thing standing between you and the wealth you deserve is a 5-minute ritual that costs less than $1 but holds the vibrational frequency of pure abundance? Now, this video is not something you can just have playing in the background while you scroll through your phone. This is something you need to listen to with your full attention, because what I'm about to share with you is practical, it's powerful, and it needs to be put into action as soon as possible. Not tomorrow, not next week, but today, because every moment you wait is another moment. You're allowing stagnant energy to block your prosperity, and I don't want that for you. I really don't. So here's what we're going to do together in the next few minutes. We're going to talk about salt water, but not in the way you think. We're going to dive deep into why this simple combination of two of the most abundant resources on Earth carries a spiritual frequency that can literally shift your entire relationship with money. And I know that might sound too simple, maybe even a little silly, but stay with me, because by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why millionaires in Silicon Valley are doing this ritual, why spiritual practitioners across America have been guarding this secret, and why people like Sarah from Austin, Texas, went from drowning in debt to manifesting a 6-figure opportunity within 3 weeks of starting this practice. And no, Sarah isn't special. She isn't more deserving than you. She simply understood something about energy that most people miss, and you're about to understand it too. Let me ask you something. And I want you to really think about this. When was the last time you felt truly abundant? Not just financially, but energetically, like your whole being was humming with the frequency of enough, of more than enough, of overflow? For most people, the answer is either never or so long ago they can't remember. And that's not your fault. We live in a world that teaches us to focus on lack, on what's missing, on the bills we can't pay, and the dreams we can't afford. And every time you focus on what's not there, you're sending out a signal to the universe that says, more, lack please, more struggle, more limitation. And the universe, being the perfect mirror that it is, reflects that right back to you. But here's the beautiful truth that changes everything. You can shift that signal right now, today, with something as simple as salt and water. Now I know some of you are thinking, come on, salt water. Really, that's the big secret. And I get it. I understand the skepticism, because we've been conditioned to believe that transformation has to be complicated, expensive, difficult, that we need to attend seminars and buy courses and completely overhaul our lives before anything can change. But that's actually part of the problem. That belief itself is blocking your abundance, because the universe doesn't operate on complexity, it operates on frequency, on vibration, on the energetic signature you're broadcasting every single moment. And sometimes the most powerful shifts come from the simplest actions. Think about it like this. When you want to clean a wound, you don't need fancy equipment, you need clean water and salt. It's been that way for thousands of years. And the reason it works is because salt has a natural purifying quality. It draws out impurities, it cleanses, it resets, and when you combine it with water, which is the universal conductor of energy, you create something that can cleanse not just your physical body, but your energetic body too. And here's where it gets really interesting. Everything in your life, including money, is energy. And if you've been struggling financially, it's not because you're not worthy of wealth. It's not because the universe is punishing you. It's because somewhere in your energetic field, there are blocks, there are old patterns, there are beliefs you picked up from your parents or society or past experiences that are literally repelling the very thing you desire. And these blocks are like mud-caked on a window. The light of abundance is always shining, always available, but you can't see it, you can't feel it, you can't let it in because the window is covered. Salt water is the cloth that wipes that window clean, and I'm going to show you exactly how to use it. But first, I need you to understand why it works, because understanding creates belief, and belief creates results. In ancient times, salt was so valuable it was used as currency. Roman soldiers were paid in salt. That's where the word salary comes from, and there's a reason for that. Salt represents preservation, purification, and protection. It was used in sacred ceremonies across every culture, from the Native Americans who blessed their land with salt, to the Buddhists who used it to ward off negative spirits, to the Christians who incorporated it into baptism rituals. These weren't random traditions. These were practices based on a deep understanding of energy. And what they understood was that salt has the ability to absorb negativity, to neutralize lower frequencies, to create a protective barrier around whatever it touches. Water, on the other hand, is the element of flow, of emotion, of intuition, of letting go. When you bring salt and water together with intention, you create a powerful tool for energetic cleansing that works on multiple levels simultaneously. Now let me tell you about Marcus from Chicago. Marcus was a guy who did everything right on paper. He had a good job, he worked hard, he was smart with his money, but no matter what he did, he couldn't seem to get ahead. There was always an unexpected expense, always something breaking down, always some reason why he couldn't save or invest or build the life he wanted. And he was frustrated, he was exhausted, and he was starting to believe that maybe wealth just wasn't meant for him. Then one day, Marcus stumbled across information about energetic cleansing, and he decided to try the saltwater ritual, not because he fully believed it would work, but because he was desperate enough to try anything. And within the first week, something shifted. He couldn't put his finger on it exactly, but he felt lighter, clearer, like a fog had lifted, and then things started happening. A client he'd written off as a lost cause suddenly came back with a bigger project. His landlord unexpectedly reduced his rent. He found money he'd forgotten about in an old account. These weren't huge windfalls, but they were signs. They were evidence that something in his energy had changed. And over the next 3 months, Marcus's income doubled. Not because he worked harder, but because he removed the blocks that were keeping abundance away. And that's what I want you to understand. This isn't about magic. It's about energy management. It's about taking responsibility for the frequency you're broadcasting and making a conscious choice to shift it. And if you're sitting there thinking, okay, I'm intrigued, but what exactly do I do with this salt water? Don't worry, we're going to get to the specific ritual in just a moment. But I want to make sure you have the full context first, because context is what makes this work. Intention is what gives it power. But before we go there, I need you to do something for me. If what I'm saying is resonating with you, if you're feeling that little spark of recognition in your chest that yes, this is what I've been looking for, then go ahead and hit that like button, because that simple action tells me you're ready, you're open, you're willing to receive, and it also helps this video reach more people who need to hear this message, people who are struggling just like you might be struggling, people who are ready for a shift. So go ahead, take 2 seconds, hit that like button, and let's continue this journey together. All right, so let's talk about what's really happening when you work with salt water from a spiritual perspective, because this is where science and spirituality meet in the most beautiful way. Your body is made up of about 60% water, and that water is a conductor. It carries electrical signals between your cells. It facilitates every biological process, and it also holds memory. You've probably heard about the work of Dr. Masaru Emoto, who photographed water crystals and showed how they change structure based on the energy they're exposed to. Water that was exposed to loving words formed beautiful, symmetrical crystals. Water that was exposed to harsh words formed chaotic, broken patterns. And if water can hold the memory of words and emotions outside your body, imagine what the water inside your body is holding. Every negative thought you've had about money, every time someone told you that you're not good enough, every moment of fear and doubt and worry, it's all stored in the water of your cells, creating a frequency that attracts more of the same. Now salt, when dissolved in water, creates ions, charged particles that can help neutralize and release stored energy. Think of it like hitting the reset button on your energetic system. And when you use salt water intentionally, with awareness, with the specific purpose of cleansing your energy field, and opening yourself to abundance, you're essentially reprogramming the water in your body. You're replacing old, stagnant, fear-based frequencies with fresh, clean, abundance-ready frequencies, and the universe responds to that shift immediately. Here's a metaphor that might help. Imagine your energy field as a radio station. Right now, you might be broadcasting on the frequency of struggle, playing the same old songs of lack and limitation over and over, and the universe is tuning in and saying, "Oh, you want more struggle, more lack, more limitation? Here you go." But when you do this saltwater ritual, you're changing the station. You're tuning into the frequency of abundance, prosperity, overflow, and suddenly the universe starts responding differently. It starts sending you opportunities instead of obstacles, flow instead of friction, and it happens faster than you think. Let me share another story with you. This one about Jennifer from Miami. Jennifer was a single mom working 2 jobs just to keep the lights on, and she was bitter, she was angry, she felt like life had dealt her an unfair hand, and every time she looked at her bank account, she felt this heavy weight in her chest, this combination of shame and fear and resentment, and those feelings were creating more of what she didn't want, more bills, more stress, more financial pressure. Jennifer heard about the saltwater practice from a friend and decided to try it, but here's what made the difference for her. She didn't just go through the motions. She used the ritual as a moment of complete honesty with herself. She acknowledged all the negative feelings she had about money. She let herself feel them fully while the salt water did its work, and then she made a conscious choice to release them, to let them dissolve and flow away. And in that moment of release, she created space for something new to enter. And within days, Jennifer received a call about a job opportunity she'd applied for months earlier and forgotten about. A job that paid more than both her current jobs combined and offered benefits and flexibility. And that was just the beginning. Because once she understood how to manage her energy, she kept attracting better and better opportunities, and her whole relationship with money transformed. Now I can hear some of you asking, but how do I know if I have these energetic blocks? How do I know if this is something I need? And the answer is simple. If you're watching this video, you need it. If you're struggling with money in any way, you need it. If you find yourself worrying about finances, feeling stressed about bills, comparing yourself to others who seem to have it easier, resenting wealthy people, feeling guilty about wanting more, any of those signs tell you that there's stagnant energy around money that needs to be cleared. And here's the thing, even if you're doing okay financially, even if you're not in crisis, this practice can take you from okay to extraordinary, because there's always another level. There's always more abundance available. The universe is infinitely abundant, and the only thing limiting how much you can receive is the size of the container you've created with your energy, and salt water expands that container. It clears out the old limitations and creates space for more. But wait, because what I'm about to tell you next is going to shift how you think about prosperity forever, and it's something most people never realize until it's too late. So stay with me, because this is crucial. The reason most manifestation practices don't work, the reason most people try the law of attraction and give up, is because they're trying to add positive energy on top of negative energy. It's like trying to plant a garden in soil that's full of rocks and weeds. You can plant the most beautiful seeds, you can water them, you can give them sunlight, but they're not going to grow properly because the foundation is wrong. And that's what most people are doing. They're trying to manifest abundance while their energy field is still clogged with old patterns and beliefs and traumas, and it doesn't work, or it works partially, or it works temporarily, and then collapses. And they think the problem is with manifestation itself, but the problem is they skipped the crucial step of cleansing first. This is where salt water becomes your greatest ally, because it does the cleansing work that clears the path for manifestation to actually work. It's the foundation that everything else builds on. And once you have that foundation, once your energy is clean and clear and flowing, then when you do your visualization, when you say your affirmations, when you set your intentions, they land in fertile soil, they take root, they grow, and they manifest into your physical reality with surprising speed and ease. Think of it this way. If your house is on fire, you don't start redecorating. You put out the fire first, and for most people, their energy field is on fire with anxiety and fear and old programming, and they're trying to redecorate with vision boards and positive thinking and wondering why it's not working. Salt water puts out the fire, and then you can rebuild whatever you want. Now, I want to address something that might be coming up for some of you. This idea that spirituality and money don't mix, that wanting wealth is somehow unspiritual or selfish or wrong. And I need to tell you right now, that belief is probably the biggest block you have, because there's nothing more spiritual than living in abundance. Abundance means you have enough to take care of yourself, enough to help others, enough to pursue your purpose without the constant stress of survival. And when you're in survival mode, when you're worried about how to pay rent, you can't be of service, you can't share your gift, you can't be the person you came here to be. Money is energy. It's a tool, it's a resource, and it's completely neutral. It's what you do with it that matters, and the universe wants you to have it. The universe wants you to thrive. The universe is literally made of abundance. Just look around. Billions of stars, billions of galaxies, infinite space, infinite possibilities. Lack is the illusion. Abundance is the reality, and you are meant to experience it. I remember talking to a woman named Patricia from Portland, and Patricia had this deep shame around wanting money because she grew up in a religious household where she was taught that money was the root of all evil, that wealthy people were selfish, that you had to choose between being spiritual and being prosperous, and that belief was killing her. Literally, she was sick all the time. She was depressed. She was stuck in a job she hated because she couldn't bring herself to ask for more. And when she finally started working with salt water and releasing that old programming, it was like watching someone come back to life. Color returned to her face, energy returned to her body, and within months, she had started her own business doing something she loved, something that helped people, and she was making more money than she ever had. And she realized that money didn't make her less spiritual. It made her more effective at living her purpose. It gave her the freedom and resources to actually make a difference in the world. So if you're carrying any shame or guilt around wanting wealth, I want you to write that down right now. Literally write it down on a piece of paper. Acknowledge it, thank it for trying to protect you in whatever twisted way it thought it was helping, and then get ready to release it, because you're going to use that paper in the ritual I'm about to teach you, and you're going to let that old belief dissolve into the salt water and flow away from you forever. Tell me in the comments if you've ever felt conflicted about wanting money, if you've ever felt like you had to choose between being a good person and being prosperous, because I want to know how many of you are carrying this burden, and I want you to know you're not alone. So many people struggle with this, and it's one of the main things that keeps abundance at arm's length. All right, now we're getting to the part where I teach you the actual ritual, and I need you to pay close attention here, because the details matter, the intention matters, the way you approach this matters. This isn't just about dumping salt in water and hoping for the best. This is a sacred practice. And when you treat it as sacred, when you bring your full presence and awareness to it, that's when it becomes truly powerful. But before I give you the specific steps, I want to talk about timing, because some of you are going to want to wait for the perfect moment, the new moon, the right day of the week, when you have more time, when you feel more ready. And I'm telling you right now, don't wait. The best time to do this is as soon as possible. Today, tonight, because every day you wait is another day you're carrying energy that's not serving you, and I don't want that for you. The universe is ready to support you. Right now, not later, not when conditions are perfect, but now. That said, if you want to enhance the ritual, doing it during a new moon or on a Sunday, which is associated with prosperity and success, can amplify the effects, but it's not required. What's required is your intention, your presence, and your willingness to let go of what's no longer serving you. That's it. Everything else is just extra. So here's what you're going to need. And I promise you already have all of this in your home. You're going to need sea salt, not table salt, but sea salt or Himalayan pink salt, something that comes from the earth and hasn't been processed and stripped of its minerals. You're going to need clean water, preferably filtered or spring water. You're going to need a glass or bowl, and you're going to need a few minutes of privacy where you won't be interrupted. That's it. Simple, accessible. No expensive ingredients, no complicated setup, just you and these basic elements and your intention to transform your relationship with abundance. Now here's how you're going to do it, and I want you to really visualize this as I describe it, because visualization is part of the preparation. You're going to fill your glass or bowl with water, about 8 ounces, enough that you can drink it comfortably, and as you pour the water, I want you to imagine that you're pouring pure potential, liquid possibility. The water represents flow, movement, change, and you're inviting those qualities into your life. Then you're going to add 3 pinches of salt to the water. And 3 is important here. It's a sacred number across many traditions. It represents mind, body, and spirit. It represents past, present, and future. It represents the trinity of creation. And as you add each pinch, you're going to state an intention out loud. For the first pinch, you say, I release all energy that blocks my prosperity. For the second pinch, I cleanse my field of lack and limitation. For the third pinch, I open myself to receive abundant wealth. And you say these words with conviction, with feeling, with the full force of your desire behind them. Because words are spells, that's why it's called spelling. And when you speak with intention, You're casting a spell that rearranges energy in your favor. After you've added the salt and stated your intentions, you're going to stir the water clockwise 3 times. And clockwise is important because it represents drawing things toward you, bringing things in, while counterclockwise represents releasing and sending away. So you stir clockwise, and as you stir, you watch the salt dissolve, and you imagine all the blocks and resistance in your energy field dissolving just like that, becoming liquid, becoming movable, becoming something you can release. And then you're going to hold the glass in both hands, close your eyes, and take 3 deep breaths, breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. And with each breath, you're going to feel yourself dropping into your body, into the present moment, into a state of receptivity and trust, because this ritual only works if you trust, if you believe, if you open yourself to the possibility that something this simple can create real change. Now, while you're holding that glass, I want you to bring to mind everything about your current financial situation that you're ready to release. The stress, the fear, the shame, the resentment, the belief that you're not worthy, the pattern of things always going wrong. All of it. Let it come up. Don't push it away. Don't try to be positive yet. Just acknowledge it. Feel it. Let it be there. And then imagine all of that energy flowing out of your body, out of your mind, out of your heart, and into the water. Imagine the water absorbing it, taking it from you, purifying it, transforming it. And you can even say out loud, I give this to you. I release this into your care. I trust you to transform it. And you're speaking to the water, to the salt, to the elements, to the universe itself. You're declaring that you're done carrying this burden, that you're ready to be free. And here's where it gets powerful. After you've released everything into the water, after you've acknowledged and felt and let go, you're going to drink it, slowly, mindfully, with intention. And as you drink, you're going to imagine that you're consuming pure abundance, liquid prosperity, concentrated wealth consciousness, and with every sip, you're integrating a new frequency into your cellular structure, into your energy field, into your very being. You're literally drinking in abundance. And your body, which is so intelligent, so responsive to your intention, is going to respond. It's going to start broadcasting a different signal, and the universe is going to pick up on that signal and respond accordingly. Some people feel a tingling sensation as they drink. Some feel warmth spreading through their chest. Some feel an immediate sense of lightness or relief. And some don't feel anything at all in the moment, but notice shifts over the following days. And all of these responses are valid. There's no right or wrong way to experience this. What matters is that you trust the process and stay consistent. Now, consistency is key. This isn't a one-time thing. This is a practice, and I recommend doing it every morning for at least 21 days, because 21 days is how long it takes to start forming a new habit, to start rewiring your neural pathways, to start shifting your default frequency. And yes, every single morning, first thing before you check your phone, before you start worrying about your day, before you let the outside world in, you do this ritual. You cleanse your energy. You set your intention. You drink in abundance, and you start your day from a place of clarity and power instead of reactivity and fear. And I promise you, if you do this consistently for 21 days, your life will look different. Your bank account might look different. Your opportunities will definitely look different because you will be different. You will be operating at a completely new frequency. But I want to tell you something that's going to challenge you, and it might even make you uncomfortable. But it's important. Doing this ritual is only half the work. The other half is paying attention to what comes up and being willing to take action on the opportunities that present themselves. Because here's what happens. Once you clear your energy, once you open yourself to abundance, the universe is going to test you. It's going to send you opportunities, synchronicities, signs. And if you're not paying attention, if you're not willing to step outside your comfort zone and act on those signs, then nothing changes. You can do all the rituals in the world, but if you're not willing to have that conversation, make that call, take that risk, ask for that raise, start that business, whatever your next step is, then you're blocking your own abundance. And I see this happen all the time. People do the spiritual work, but they're not willing to do the practical work. And then they wonder why manifestation doesn't work. And it's because manifestation requires both. It requires internal shift and external action. And the salt water gives you the internal shift, but you have to provide the action. Let me tell you about David from Seattle. David did the saltwater ritual religiously for 3 weeks, and he was seeing small signs, finding money, getting discounts, feeling better, but nothing major was happening, and he was getting frustrated. And then one day, he got an email about a networking event, and his first instinct was to ignore it, to make excuses about being busy or not knowing anyone there. But something in him, maybe it was the work he'd been doing with the salt water, pushed him to go. And at that event, he met someone who became a business partner, and together they launched a venture that made David more money in 6 months than he'd made in the previous 5 years. But here's the thing, if David hadn't gone to that event, if he hadn't taken that action, none of it would have happened. The universe sent the opportunity, but David had to walk through the door. And that's what I need you to understand. This ritual opens doors, but you have to be willing to walk through them. So as you're doing this practice, I want you to start paying attention, really close attention, to the opportunities that show up, to the people who cross your path, to the ideas that pop into your head, to the impulses you feel to reach out to someone or try something new, because those are not random. Those are the universe responding to your new frequency. Those are breadcrumbs leading you to your abundance, and your job is to follow them, to trust them, to act on them, even when they seem small or insignificant or scary, especially when they seem scary, because usually the things that scare us the most are the things that will transform us the most. And if this is resonating with you, if you're understanding the connection between energy work and action, go ahead and drop a comment right now. Tell me what action you're being called to take, what opportunity you've been avoiding, what door you need to walk through. Because when you declare it publicly, when you put it out there, you're making a commitment not just to me, but to yourself. And that commitment activates something powerful in your manifestation process. Now, I want to give you some additional layers you can add to this ritual once you've done the basic practice for a while and you're comfortable with it, because there are ways to amplify and customize it based on your specific needs and intentions. And these aren't required, but they can be powerful additions. Now, I want to give you some additional layers you can add to this ritual once you've done the basic practice for a while and you're comfortable with it, because there are ways to amplify and customize it based on your specific needs and intentions. And these aren't required, but they can be powerful additions. One thing you can do is write down a specific financial goal or the limiting belief you want to release on a small piece of paper, fold it 3 times, and place it in the salt water before you drink it. And as the paper dissolves and the ink begins to blur, you're watching your limitation or your intention being absorbed and transformed by the water. And this creates a visual representation of the energetic shift that's happening. And our brains respond powerfully to visual symbols. They help anchor the work we're doing on a subconscious level. Another layer you can add is doing this ritual at specific times that carry additional energetic significance, like during the new moon when the energy is all about new beginnings and setting intentions, or on a Sunday morning, which has been associated with prosperity and success across many spiritual traditions, or even at sunrise when the energy of the day is fresh and full of potential. And these timing elements aren't magical in themselves, but they help you tap into collective consciousness, into patterns that have been established over thousands of years by millions of people working with these same energies, and there's power in that alignment. You can also add a few drops of lemon or lime juice to your salt water, and citrus has its own cleansing properties. It cuts through density, it brightens energy, it adds a level of purification that complements the salt beautifully, plus it makes the water taste better, which means you're more likely to stay consistent with the practice, and consistency is everything. Some people like to say a prayer or affirmation while they're preparing the water, something personal that speaks to their specific situation. And this can be really powerful because you're adding the vibration of your voice, the intention of your words, the conviction of your heart to the mixture, and all of that gets encoded into the water. Remember what we talked about earlier with water holding memory? Well, this is you consciously programming that memory with exactly what you want to create. You could say something like, "This water cleanses me of all blocks to my prosperity. I am worthy of wealth. I am open to receive. Abundance flows to me easily and naturally." Or whatever words feel authentic and powerful to you. And the more emotion you put behind those words, the more effective they become. Because emotion is the language of the subconscious mind. It's what tells your deeper self that this matters, that this is important, that this is real. Now here's something that's going to sound a little unusual, but trust me on this. After you've done the saltwater ritual in the morning, pay attention to the first thought that comes into your mind about money that day, because that first thought is going to tell you a lot about whether the cleansing is working, whether old patterns are still active, whether you need to do additional work. And if that first money thought is still negative, still fearful, still based in lack, don't judge yourself. Don't think the ritual isn't working. Just acknowledge it. Thank it for showing you where there's still work to do, and gently redirect your mind to a more abundant thought. And over time, as you stay consistent with the practice, you're going to notice that first thought shifting, becoming lighter, more hopeful, more expectant of good things. And that shift is evidence that the deeper work is happening, that your default frequency is changing. Let me tell you about Rebecca from Phoenix. Rebecca was someone who had done every manifestation technique out there. She had vision boards and affirmations and gratitude journals and courses and coaches, and nothing seemed to stick. She would get excited. She would feel hopeful for a few days, and then she would crash back into her old patterns of worry and scarcity thinking, and she was starting to feel like maybe she was broken. Maybe she was the exception to the rule. Maybe abundance just wasn't meant for her. Then Rebecca found the salt water practice, and at first she was skeptical. She thought it was too simple, too basic. How could something this easy work when all those other complicated techniques hadn't? But she was desperate enough to try, and she committed to doing it every single morning for 30 days. No excuses, no skipping. And something remarkable happened, not in her external circumstances at first, but internally. She noticed that the constant anxiety she carried about money started to soften. She noticed that she could think about her bank account without that immediate gut punch of fear. She noticed that she started seeing opportunities where before she only saw obstacles, and then the external shifts started happening. A client who owed her money for months suddenly paid. She got an unexpected tax refund. She was offered a position with better pay and more flexibility, and within 6 months Rebecca had completely transformed her financial situation. Not because she won the lottery, not because someone rescued her, but because she cleared the energetic blocks that were keeping abundance away, and then she took action on the opportunities that showed up. And that's the pattern I see over and over again with people who work with this practice consistently. The internal shift happens first. The feeling of heaviness lifts, the constant worry eases, the default thought patterns begin to change. And then, sometimes quickly, sometimes gradually, the external reality starts to reflect that internal shift. Because that's how energy works. It moves from the inside out, from the invisible to the visible, from frequency to form. And you can't skip the internal work and expect the external world to change. But when you do the internal work, when you clear your field and raise your frequency and open yourself to receive, the external world has no choice but to respond. It's law, it's physics, it's how this universe operates. Now tell me in the comments, what's one limiting belief about money that you know you're carrying? That voice in your head that says you can't, you shouldn't, you're not worthy. Write it down, because naming it is the first step to releasing it. And I want to create a space here where we can all be honest about our blocks, where we can support each other in this work, because we're all in this together. We're all learning to dance with abundance instead of pushing it away. All right, now I want to talk about something that most people don't understand about prosperity. And this is crucial. Prosperity is not just about money in your bank account. It's about flow. It's about circulation. It's about energy moving through your life freely and easily. And one of the biggest mistakes people make when they start working with abundance practices is they become grabby. They become clingy. They start holding on tight to every penny that comes in because they're afraid it won't come again. And that fear, that grasping, that's what stops the flow. Think about it like water. If you try to hold water in your closed fist, it leaks out. But if you cup your hands gently, if you let it flow through your fingers, you can actually direct it. You can work with it. And the same is true with money. When you hold it loosely, when you trust that more is coming, when you're willing to let it circulate through giving and spending and investing and receiving, that's when it multiplies. That's when it grows. That's when it becomes truly abundant. So here's a practice I want you to add to your saltwater ritual, and this is going to challenge some of you. On the same day you start the ritual, I want you to give something away. And it doesn't have to be money, although it can be your time, your attention, your skills, your knowledge, something of value that you're giving freely without expectation of return. And this act of giving sends a powerful message to the universe. It says, I trust that there's enough. I trust that more is coming. I'm not operating from scarcity. I'm operating from abundance, and the universe responds to that signal immediately. I know this is scary, especially if you're struggling financially. The last thing you want to do is give anything away when you feel like you don't have enough. But that's exactly why it works. Because you're breaking the pattern of lack. You're interrupting the signal of scarcity. You're demonstrating through action that you believe in abundance. And belief backed by action is the most powerful manifestation tool that exists. 3. I'm thinking of Thomas from Boston. Thomas was in serious debt. We're talking credit cards maxed out, student loans crushing him, barely making minimum payments. And when someone told him about the giving principle, he thought they were crazy. He literally laughed in their face. Give money away when I don't have money? Are you insane? But something about the concept stuck with him. And one day, after doing the saltwater ritual, he felt this impulse to buy lunch for a homeless man he saw on his way to work. It was just $12. But for Thomas in that moment, it felt like a huge risk. And as he handed over that food, he felt something shift inside him. He felt less like a victim, less powerless, more like someone who had something to offer. More like someone who was part of the flow of abundance, rather than outside of it looking in. And that small act started a chain reaction. Because when you act from abundance, even when you don't feel abundant, you start to become abundant. It's like the universe says, oh, you're playing the abundance game now. Okay, let me match that energy. And within 2 weeks, Thomas got a call about a job opportunity he'd applied for 6 months earlier and completely forgotten about. A job that paid 40% more than what he was making. And suddenly, he had breathing room. Suddenly, the debt felt manageable. Suddenly, he could see a way forward. And he traces all of it back to that $12 lunch and the decision to act as if abundance was real, even when his bank account said otherwise. This is what I mean. When I talk about acting in alignment with the frequency you want to create, you can't think your way into abundance. You have to embody it. You have to become it, and sometimes that means making choices that seem illogical or scary, but that demonstrate your trust in the universe's ability to provide. The salt water cleanses your energy field and opens you up, but these aligned actions are what seal the deal. They're what tell the universe, yes, I'm serious, I'm ready, I'm claiming this new reality. And when you combine the energetic work with the practical demonstration of faith, that's when miracles happen. That's when things shift faster than you thought possible. That's when you look back 6 months from now and barely recognize your life because it's so different from where you started. If you're feeling that energy right now, if something inside you is saying, yes, I'm ready for this, I'm going to do this, go ahead and hit that subscribe button because I'm going to be sharing more practices like this, more ways to work with energy and manifestation and the law of attraction, and I want you here for that journey. I want to support you as you transform your relationship with abundance. So subscribe, turn on notifications, and let's do this together. Now, I want to talk about something that might make some of you uncomfortable, but it's important. And that's the relationship between giving and receiving, because most people are way more comfortable with one than the other. Some people are great givers. They'll do anything for anyone. They're generous and helpful, and always showing up for others, but they can't receive. They deflect compliments. They refuse help. They feel guilty when someone wants to give to them. And that imbalance blocks abundance just as much as being stingy does. Because if you can't receive, if you can't let good things in, then it doesn't matter how much the universe wants to give you. You're standing there with your hands up saying, no thanks, I'm not worthy, I don't deserve it, it's too much. And the universe is like, okay, I'll just hold on to this then. And nothing changes. On the flip side, some people are great receivers. They're happy to take and accept and be given to, but they never give. They hoard, they accumulate. They're afraid to let anything flow back out, and that creates stagnation. That creates a dam in the river of abundance, and eventually the flow stops coming because there's nowhere for it to go. It's all backed up. Well, the key is balance. The key is learning to give freely and receive gracefully. And that means when someone offers you help, you say, thank you instead of, oh, you don't have to do that. When someone compliments you, you accept it instead of deflecting it. When an opportunity comes your way, you take it instead of thinking you're not ready or not worthy. Because every time you receive, you're completing the circuit. You're allowing the flow to continue. You're demonstrating that, yes, I'm part of this dance of abundance. I give and I receive and I keep the energy moving. The salt water ritual helps with this because it cleanses the shame and unworthiness that make receiving so difficult. It washes away the belief that you have to earn love or deserve abundance, or prove yourself before good things can come to you. And as that old programming dissolves, receiving becomes natural, becomes easy, becomes something you do without all the mental gymnastics and guilt trips that used to accompany it. Here's a practice that will help you strengthen your receiving muscle. For the next 7 days, every time someone offers you something, anything, whether it's a compliment, a favor, a piece of advice, a gift, an opportunity, I want you to simply say, "Thank you." Just those 2 words. No deflecting, no explaining why you don't deserve it, no immediately trying to reciprocate, just thank you. Let it in. Let yourself have it, and notice what comes up. Notice the discomfort if it's there. Notice the voice that says you should refuse, or you need to give something back right away, or this is too much. Notice it, but don't obey it. Just breathe. Say thank you, and let the goodness land. And I promise you, this simple practice will start to rewire your ability to receive. And as your ability to receive expands, so does what the universe can deliver to you. Because suddenly there's space for it. Suddenly you're not blocking it. Suddenly you're a clear channel for abundance to flow through. Let me share one more story before we get to the really powerful part. The part that's going to tie everything together and show you why this works on a level that goes beyond just energy and vibration. This is about Linda from Denver. And Linda's story is a little different because she wasn't struggling financially when she started the saltwater practice. She was actually doing pretty well, comfortable salary, nice apartment, savings in the bank, but she felt stuck. She felt like she was on a plateau, like there was another level of abundance available, but she couldn't figure out how to access it. And more than that, she felt disconnected from her prosperity, like the money she made didn't really belong to her. Like she was just a temporary custodian of it rather than someone who truly owned her abundance. Linda started the saltwater ritual not to fix a problem, but to deepen her relationship with prosperity, to step into a more empowered, aligned, grateful version of herself. And what happened was fascinating. The ritual didn't immediately bring her more money. Instead, it brought her awareness. She started noticing all the ways she was dismissing her own success, downplaying her achievements, attributing her prosperity to luck rather than to her own value and contribution. And as she cleared those patterns with the saltwater practice, as she started to truly own her worthiness and claim her abundance, that's when things exploded. She negotiated a raise, she launched a side business, she made investments that paid off, and within a year her net worth had tripled. But more importantly, she felt wealthy, she felt abundant, she felt like someone who was meant to have resources and use them well, and that internal shift was worth more than any number in her bank account. So whether you're starting from struggle or from stability, whether you're trying to get out of debt or trying to reach the next level, this practice works because it addresses the root issue, which is always energetic, which is always about the frequency you're broadcasting and the beliefs you're carrying and the patterns you're perpetuating. And when you shift those foundational elements, everything else has to shift too. It's inevitable. It's guaranteed. It's just a matter of time and consistency. Now, before I give you the piece that's going to blow your mind, the thing that makes all of this make sense on a deeper level, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment right now and tell me, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your current ability to receive, not just money, but love, help, compliments, opportunities, all of it? Be honest, because awareness is the first step, and I want to know where you're starting from so I can continue to create content that meets you where you are. All right, here's what I've been building toward. Here's the revelation that changes everything. And this is something that ancient wisdom keepers understood, but that modern society has forgotten. You are not separate from abundance. You are made of it. Every atom in your body, every cell, every molecule is made from the same substance as stars, as planets, as everything in this infinitely abundant universe, which means abundance is not something you need to attract or chase or earn. It's something you need to remember. It's something you need to uncover. It's something you need to allow yourself to be. Think about it. Your body knows how to grow hair and fingernails without you thinking about it. Your heart knows how to beat. Your lungs know how to breathe. There's an intelligence operating through you that's creating abundance constantly. Cells multiplying, blood flowing, systems functioning, all without your conscious control. And that same intelligence that's running your body is the intelligence that's running the entire universe. And it knows how to bring you everything you need. It wants to bring you everything you need, but you keep blocking it with your fear and your doubt and your belief in limitation. Force. The saltwater ritual works because it removes those blocks temporarily. It gives you a window, a clear channel, a moment where you're aligned with that universal intelligence that's always trying to flow abundance to you and through you. And if you can stay in that alignment, if you can maintain that clear channel through consistent practice and aligned action, there's literally no limit to what can come through you. And I don't mean that in some woo-woo abstract way. I mean that practically, tangibly, in your bank account and your opportunities and your life circumstances. This is why people who work with this practice consistently report what seem like miraculous results. It's not that they're getting special treatment from the universe. It's that they've removed the interference, they've cleared the static, they've opened the channel, and now what was always available can finally come through. It's like they've been standing under a waterfall with an umbrella their whole life wondering why they're thirsty, and the saltwater ritual helps them put down the umbrella and just receive what's already pouring down. And here's the most beautiful part. Once you experience this, once you feel that flow, once you see evidence that the universe is responding to your frequency, everything changes. Not just your bank account, but your whole orientation to life. You stop operating from fear and you start operating from trust. You stop trying to control and manipulate and force things to happen, and you start allowing and receiving and co-creating. You stop feeling like you're fighting against life, and you start feeling like you're dancing with it. And that shift, that fundamental reorientation from struggle to flow, is worth more than any amount of money. Although, ironically, that's usually when the money starts showing up in bigger ways, because you're finally not strangling the flow with your grip. This is what prosperity consciousness really means. It's not about thinking positive thoughts about money. It's about fundamentally understanding that you are an expression of an abundant universe and that your natural state is overflow. And anything less than that is just programming, just conditioning, just blocks that can be cleared. Now, I know some of you are thinking, okay, this all sounds great. But what about the practical side? What about the fact that I have bills due, and debt collectors calling, and real-world problems that need real-world solutions? And I hear you. I'm not suggesting that you just do this ritual and sit back and wait for checks to fall from the sky. What I'm telling you is that this ritual clears your energy so that you can see the solutions that are already around you, so that you can take the actions that will actually work, so that you can show up as someone who attracts opportunities instead of repelling them. Because here's the truth. There are probably 10 different ways you could improve your financial situation right now, but you can't see them because your energy is clouded with fear and stress and old patterns, and those emotions literally block your perception. They narrow your focus. They keep you operating in survival mode, where you can only see problems and threats instead of possibilities and opportunities. When you clear your energy with the saltwater practice, when you raise your frequency even just a little bit, suddenly you start seeing things you couldn't see before. You remember that friend who mentioned a job opening. You get an idea for a side hustle. You feel brave enough to ask for that raise. You notice an opportunity in the classifieds that you would have scrolled right past yesterday. And it's not that these things weren't there before. It's that you couldn't perceive them. Your receiver was tuned to the wrong station, and now it's tuned to the abundance frequency, and you're picking up signals you were missing. This is why I keep emphasizing action, because the ritual opens the door, but you have to walk through it. The ritual shows you the path, but you have to take the steps. And when you combine the energetic clearing with practical action, with showing up and doing the work and saying yes to opportunities and having the hard conversations and taking the risks, that's when transformation happens at the speed of light. That's when your life changes so fast, it makes your head spin. Let me tell you about Kevin from Atlanta. Kevin was drowning, bankruptcy-level drowning, and he started the saltwater ritual out of pure desperation. He had nothing to lose, and within 3 days of starting the practice, he ran into someone at a coffee shop, just a random encounter, and they started talking. And it turned out this person was looking for someone with exactly Kevin's skill set for a contract project, and Kevin almost didn't mention that he was available, almost let the opportunity pass because he was so used to being in lack that he couldn't see abundance when it was standing right in front of him. But something pushed him to speak up. Maybe it was the work he'd been doing with the salt water. Maybe it was the universe nudging him, and he mentioned that he was looking for work, and that conversation led to a 6-month contract that paid more than Kevin had made in the previous year, and that contract led to other contracts, and suddenly, Kevin wasn't drowning anymore. He was swimming, He was thriving, and it all started with a chance encounter that wasn't really chance at all. It was frequency matching. It was energy alignment. It was Kevin finally being clear enough to recognize opportunity and brave enough to reach for it. These stories are everywhere once you start looking. People who shifted their energy and then their entire reality reorganized around that new frequency. And you can be one of these people. You are already one of these people. You just need to commit to the practice and trust the process and stay consistent even when you don't see immediate results. Because sometimes the universe is working behind the scenes. Sometimes things are aligning in ways you can't see yet. Sometimes the miracle is being prepared, and you just need to hold steady until it arrives. If this is speaking to your soul right now, if you're feeling called to really commit to this practice, to give it your full effort for at least 30 days and see what happens, leave a comment right now and say, I'm in, I'm committed, I'm ready. Because there's power in declaring your intention publicly. There's power in making a promise to yourself in front of witnesses, and I'll be here to support you and cheer you on and remind you to stay consistent when motivation wanes. Here's something else that's important to understand about this work. It's not linear, meaning you might not see results in the order or time frame you expect. You might do the ritual for 2 weeks and see nothing and get discouraged and want to quit. And then on day 16, something amazing happens. Or you might see small shifts immediately and then hit a plateau and think it stopped working. And that's when most people quit, right before the breakthrough, right before the big shift, right before everything clicks into place. And I don't want that to be you. I want you to understand that energy work happens in layers. You're clearing years or decades of programming. You're rewiring neural pathways. You're shifting patterns that have been running your life since childhood, and that doesn't happen overnight. It happens through consistent practice over time, with patience and trust and faith that the universe is working with you even when you can't see the evidence yet. Santakwait. There's a concept in farming called the gestation period. It's the time between planting a seed and harvesting the crop, and different crops have different gestation periods. Some things grow in weeks, some things take months or years. But the farmer doesn't dig up the seed every day to check if it's growing. The farmer waters it and tends to it and trusts that growth is happening beneath the surface where it can't be seen. And eventually, inevitably, the plant breaks through the soil and the harvest comes, and it's the same with manifestation. You plant the seed with your intention and your ritual and your action, and then you water it with consistency and faith and trust, and you let the universe handle the gestation period. Knowing that your harvest is coming, it's just a matter of time. So don't give up if you don't see immediate results. Don't decide it's not working if your bank account looks the same tomorrow as it does today. Stay with it, trust the process, keep showing up, keep doing the ritual, keep taking aligned action, and let the universe surprise you with the timing and the delivery method, because it's usually better than what you had planned anyway. Now, as we're coming toward the close of this video, I want to give you one more layer that's going to amplify everything we've talked about, and that's gratitude. Because gratitude is the frequency that magnetizes abundance faster than anything else. When you're in genuine gratitude, when you're really feeling thankful for what you have, for what's coming, for the abundance that's already present in your life, you're broadcasting a signal that says, yes, more of this, please. And the universe always responds to that signal. So here's what I want you to do. Either before or after you drink your salt water each morning, take 1 minute, just 60 seconds, and speak out loud 3 things you're grateful for, and at least one of them has to be related to money or abundance, even if it's something small. Even if it's just, I'm grateful I have enough money for coffee today, or I'm grateful I have a roof over my head, or I'm grateful that abundance exists in the universe and is available to me. Find something, anything, that connects you to the feeling of already having enough, of already being supported, of already being held by an abundant universe, and let yourself feel that gratitude fully. Let it fill your chest, let it bring a smile to your face, let it soften your shoulders, and ease your breath. Because here's what most people don't understand about gratitude. It's not just about being polite or positive, it's about creating a vibrational match to abundance. When you're grateful for money, you're in the frequency of having money, and like attracts like, so the universe sends you more to be grateful for. It's a self-perpetuating cycle, and the more you practice it, the more natural it becomes, until you're walking around in a near constant state of appreciation, noticing abundance everywhere, feeling rich even before your bank account reflects it, and that's when your bank account catches up, because your frequency has shifted permanently. I cannot overstate how important this piece is. I've seen people do all the clearing work, all the rituals, all the right actions, but they stay stuck because they're not completing the circuit with gratitude. They're so focused on what's not here yet that they can't appreciate what is here. And that focus on lack creates more lack. It's just how energy works, so please, please don't skip this step. Make gratitude a non-negotiable part of your practice, and watch how quickly your reality shifts to match that grateful frequency. All right, we're at the point where I need to wrap this up, even though I could talk about this for hours, because there's so much more to explore, so many more layers and techniques and understandings that will support you on this journey. And that's exactly why I'm going to be creating more videos on this topic, going deeper into specific aspects of prosperity consciousness, sharing more practices and stories and wisdom that will help you become a true magnet for abundance. So make sure you're subscribed, make sure notifications are turned on, because you're not going to want to miss what's coming. I'm going to be talking about how to clear ancestral money patterns, how to work with the moon cycles for manifestation, how to identify and release your biggest money block, and so much more. This is just the beginning of your transformation, and I want to walk this path with you. But for now, here's what I want you to do. Today, right after you finish watching this video, I want you to gather your sea salt and your water, and I want you to do the ritual exactly as I described it. Don't wait. Don't overthink it. Don't tell yourself you'll start tomorrow or next week or when you have more time. Do it now, because the universe responds to immediate action. It responds to commitment. It responds to people who say, yes, I'm ready, and then prove it by actually doing the thing. And I promise you, if you do this ritual today and commit to doing it every day for the next 21 days minimum, your life will be different. You will be different. Something will shift that you can't unshift, and 3 months from now, you'll look back at this moment as the turning point, as the day everything changed, as the moment you finally took your power back and claimed the abundance that was always yours. Remember, you are not broken, you are not cursed, you are not the exception to the universal law of abundance. You are simply carrying blocks that can be cleared, patterns that can be shifted, beliefs that can be transformed, and this simple practice of drinking salt water with intention is a key that unlocks doors you didn't even know were there. It's a reset button on your entire energetic system. It's a declaration to the universe that you are ready to receive. And when you make that declaration and back it up with consistent action, with aligned choices, with faith and trust and patience, the universe will move mountains to bring you what you need. It will open doors. It will create synchronicities. It will guide you to the right people and places and opportunities. And all you have to do is stay open, stay consistent, stay grateful, and trust that you are being led to your highest good, to your greatest abundance, to the life you came here to live. So here's my final question for you, and I want you to really sit with this. I want you to think about it, and then share your answer in the comments, because this is going to create a powerful thread of intention and community. If money was no longer an issue for you, if you had complete financial freedom, what would you do with your life? Not what would you buy, but who would you become? How would you serve? What would you create? What difference would you make? Because that vision, that highest possibility of who you are when you're not constrained by lack, that's what the universe wants to help you manifest. That's what's waiting for you on the other side of these blocks. And it's so much bigger and more beautiful than just numbers in a bank account. It's about you becoming you, fully expressed, fully alive, fully in your power and your purpose. And the abundance will follow that alignment like water flowing downhill, like stars following their orbits, like all of nature, expressing its inherent design to thrive. So share that vision in the comments. Let me see who you're becoming. Let this community witness your highest possibility, and let's all support each other in claiming the abundance that is our birthright. Thank you for being here. Thank you for trusting me with this information. Thank you for being brave enough to believe that things can be different, that you can be different, that a simple glass of salt water really can unlock doors that have been closed for years or decades or lifetimes. Go do the ritual. Stay consistent. Trust the process. And I'll see you in the next video where we're going to go even deeper into this work. Until then, know that you are worthy, you are abundant, you are loved, and prosperity is your natural state. Everything else is just an illusion waiting to dissolve, just like salt in water.